What was the best top 1 in Geometry Dash? Well, it's an obvious question. Bloodbath, created in 2015 by Riot and more. I mean, come on, it has 150 million downloads. It revolutionized the entire game with the Hell theme, which has been one of the most used themes throughout the game's history. And while Bloodbath was definitely a very important level for Geometry Dash, I think there are 3 levels that could top Bloodbath. And you won't want to miss number 1 because it changes the course of Geometry Dash top play forever. But first, we need to talk about what came before Bloodbath. So for this story, we're gonna have to go back to January 2nd, 2015, months before Bloodbath ever came out. The player GG is about to verify the new hardest level in Geometry Dash, Cataclysm. The level nowadays is considered an easy extreme, and no one would really bat an eye if someone were to have beat it today. But back then, the average player would laugh in your face if you said that you had beat Cataclysm. Come on, the tight ship gaps and harsh timings, they were just too hard for people to verify and even consider trying, which is why some people were surprised that people could verify and even upload such a level. But it turns out he didn't. Normally in Geometry Dash, you have to actually complete a level before you're given permission to upload it to the servers. The creator RobTop did this because he didn't want people uploading impossible levels to his game. But that didn't stop players like GG. He used hacks to upload the level to the servers without verifying it, meaning that Cataclysm was considered illegitimate. But why is this level so important, you may ask? Well, that's because it was the main level that started the Hell series, a style of decoration where you can use red and dark decoration themes, which was used in a ton of popular levels, including ones like Slaughterhouse, Yatagarasu, and even Bloodbath itself. Yeah, Bloodbath might not even exist right now without the creation of Cataclysm. And you can argue that there were other Hell-themed extreme demons before Cataclysm, and you would be right, but Cataclysm isn't just any other level. It directly inspired the creation of multiple levels like Bloodbath and Aftermath. It didn't just continue a trend, it popularized a trend. And while a lot of that comes from the popularity of Bloodbath, you have to admit that Cataclysm is the true beginning of the Hell extreme demons and caused a butterfly effect through hundreds of popular levels, and all of them trace directly back to Cataclysm, which definitely gives it a spot in Geometry Dash history that not many other levels have. And while Sonic Wave may not have that title, it did do something just as, if not more important to the Geometry Dash community. But Sonic Wave wasn't always this crazy hard dark blue level. Sonic Wave went through many different versions compared to the one today, the first known version of Sonic Wave being the light blue version. It was much easier and a bit more physically possible at the time, but with levels like Bloodbath that were soon to be released, the creator Cyclic wanted to ensure Sonic Wave's position as the hardest level in Geometry Dash. So Cyclic buffed Sonic Wave to an extremely hard level beyond its time and gave it a dark blue color scheme which more closely matches the one uploaded today. But this version was just way too difficult for anyone to complete. Surely this couldn't be verified, right? Well, that's what most would think, until June 21st, 2015, when Cyclic would release his footage of the level Sonic Wave being completed. But unlike Cataclysm, people were fast to call him out. This level was just way too hard for anyone to even consider beating, and it sparked a lot of controversy as most people thought the verification video must have been hacked. And they were right. But it wouldn't take long for Cyclic to update Sonic Wave into a Back on Track remake referred to as Cyclic on Track. The only way to play Sonic Wave now was from the old copies, and no one tried to play it for a good while. That was until the iconic race to complete Sonic Wave. It was slow progress between members of the community trying to beat Sonic Wave, which eventually led to this iconic reaction from Yafui. After that terrible fail, he quit the game, leaving the verification up for grabs by anyone in the community. But the race to beat Sonic Wave came to a close on November 25th, 2016, where the player Sunix would beat the level live on stream. Sonic Wave then went on to be one of the most iconic levels in Geometry Dash history, as it became so liked in the community that people were making tons of remakes of Sonic Wave over the years. Some being iconic like Sonic Wave Infinity, Sonic Wave Rebirth, Sonic Wave Unlimited, Generic Wave, Bow Circles? Okay, maybe we don't need this many Sonic Wave remakes. Not to mention that it was part of the RGB trilogy featuring Yatagarasu, Erebus, and Sonic Wave. And I definitely think that Sonic Wave deserves a big spot on the Geometry Dash top 1 podium, but an even bigger spot goes to the number 1 level on this list. But before I reveal it, hey, you, watching this video, why don't you press that big red juicy subscribe button? It doesn't cost anything and it would help me out as I'm trying to reach 2,000 subscribers before 2.3 comes out. Have you done it yet? Good. Now let's get back to the best top 1 in Geometry Dash. What truly makes a good top 1? Maybe it had an iconic story, maybe it started a trend, or maybe it built the foundation for the best player in Geometry Dash. That's right, Zoink. But what level could possibly hold such a title? Well, that would be none other than the former top 1 Extreme Demon Mega Collab, Zodiac.
I beat it! Oh my god! Oh my god, I beat Zodiac! I did it! I did it! Oh my god!
Zodiac is a well-known extreme demon created by Bionics and more. It was an amazing level for the time and it still holds up today, although I'm pretty sure you know that the verification isn't that simple. Zodiac was originally verified by Xander, but then was later revealed to be hack verified, but by the time the community knew it was a hack verification, the pro player Technical had completed the level.
I beat it! Oh my god! Oh my god, I beat Zodiac! Holy crap!
This means that he was technically the verifier of Zodiac all along. But the most important thing about Zodiac wasn't the verification or how iconic it was, but instead for how it altered top Geometry Dash play for years to come. How? Well, you've probably heard of Zoink, the number 1 player in all of Geometry Dash. He's known for verifying multiple top 1s in a row, and completing every single level on the Demon list, which is the list that ranks the top hardest Geometry Dash levels. Zoink absolutely dominated the Geometry Dash pro player scene like it was nothing, but his top player status didn't always exist. At this time in the story, Zoink had only completed Bloodbath, which at the time wasn't even on the Demon list. And while Bloodbath is a pretty difficult level, it's nowhere near any of the top levels. So if Zoink wanted to become the great player he always wanted to be, he would have to do one of the most difficult things anyone has ever done in Geometry Dash. See, normally when you beat a difficult level, then you jump to a slightly harder level, and then harder, until you eventually get to the hardest that you can beat. But for Zoink, that was just way too slow. So he jumped from the easiest all the way to the hardest levels, skipping everything in between. For a normal player, this would be simply impossible to pull off. But for Zoink, he wasn't any normal player. He was the player that was about to change Geometry Dash history forever. And it all started with Zodiac. And although Zoink could have jumped to any extreme demon at this time, he decided to go for the top 1 level Zodiac, meaning that it was the hardest level ever completed. And he would fulfill that quest to complete it on October 24th, 2021.
I did it! I did it! Oh my god! I did it! 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 Oh my god! I did it! I did it! I did it!
At this point, Zoink had just become known as a really talented player, and over the years, Zoink has gone on to do things that people thought were impossible just a few years back, like verifying Ashley Wave trials and setting world records like it's nothing. And you could argue that Zoink could have gone for any extreme demon at the time and would still be a very good player. And that's a good point, but you still have to admit that Zodiac was the cause for one of the biggest chain reactions in all of Geometry Dash. And who knows? He might not be where he is today without the level Zodiac ever being created, which definitely puts Zodiac as one of the best top 1s ever made. But hey, that's just my take. What do you think of this? You can leave a comment below on your opinions. Thanks for everyone who watches, and have a good day.